City has been on a journey to become more resilient for the past few years, and that is a long-term commitment that we've made. I was very proud to be a part of the city's resilience strategy, which we also adopted last year. And that commitment is about understanding shocks and stresses and what they mean for us in the present and in the future. And being effective is ultimately about trying to understand what possible futures look like for the city and how we can respond to them in a way that makes us more effective. It's absolutely true to say that the pandemic is a way of looking at or considering both as a shock and a stress for the city. Certainly, the shock of the initial pandemic earlier this year, when there was very little certainty about what it meant, what an effective approach meant, certainly fits the definition of a short-term disruption to the system. And that is, I think, turning into a more chronic form of pressure, a stress over at least the medium term until a vaccine properly emerges. But certainly also water remains a stress for the city in its long-term future. Cape Town is very fortunate to have experienced very good rainfall this year. But our journey to become more water resilient needs to take that long-term view that remembers what it was like to be in the grip of the drought that we went through, and that was a global story a couple of years ago, and to understand that water scarcity, not just as a phenomenon in itself, but as a linkage to broader climate change that we are going through, and the effects that we will experience as a city is undoubtedly a stress that may manifest in shock events. It may manifest, rising sea levels have implications for communities living on the coastline, for what that means for their infrastructure, for infrastructure decay, for incidents and events that become disaster hazards because of that long-term climate stress and how it manifests. But certainly also those things, those stresses, which are features of South African cities as part of our history and our present, that manifest in inequality, in unemployment levels. These are stresses on our society and stresses for the city government going forward.